Welcome back to another edition of the VSOP Lounge. I, of course, am your host, Captain of the Cool Kids, host of the Grown Man Logic podcast, DeJuan J. And I hope all is well. Our drink of the evening. Our drink of the evening is a 1738 on the rocks. 1738 on the rocks. Now, I had to go heavy. Had to go pull the big guns out. Did you guys get a chance to check out the last video? You guys get a chance to check out the last video where I introduced this series. I'm opening a new series. It's a 10-parter called I Loved Us to Death. I Loved Us to Death. The 10 most toxic behaviors that you don't even know is killing your relationship. The last video, I spoke about speaking in absolutes. That was number one. And probably the most easily correctable action that's killing your relationship. Tonight I'm going to talk about being passive aggressive. Ooh, ladies, stand by. You ladies are the masters of being passive aggressive. The dictionary defines passive aggressiveness as avoidance of direct confrontation. Avoidance of direct confrontation, procrastination, misplacing of important materials, ghosting, things of that nature. And we start to experience this when we notice a disconnect between what the person says and what they do. How many times have you been talking to your partner, your boss, a family member, things of that nature, and you're sharing something good, or you're doing something, and you're getting ready to make a move, and that person smiles in your face. And when you ask them for a helping hand, they're late. They can't find something. They give you a backhanded compliment. Yeah, I'll help you with your little project. Yeah, I'll do. It's passive aggressiveness. And there's so many things that fall under here. Salute to Courtney V from the Barbie Way podcast. We talked about ghosting. And when I was reading up on passive aggressive behavior and signs of passive aggressiveness, which we'll get to later, ghosting came up inside of the research. Psychology Today says that passive aggressiveness stems from deep anger, hostility, and frustration that the individual is not comfortable with expressing directly. Stems from deep anger, hostility, or frustration that the person is not comfortable with expressing directly. Now, you can take that several different ways, okay? You can take that and say, that's not me. I'm not passive aggressive because I'm not afraid of anything. But subconsciously and unknown to the general public, you don't like confrontation. That's where things like ghosting comes in. That's where things like sabotage comes in. That's where things like procrastination, when your boss asks you to do something and you really don't want to do it, so I'll get to it when I get to it. These are all passive aggressive acts. And what you're actually doing is establishing a pattern, and you're loading up the ammunition in a gun for your partner to be able to pull and use later to speak in an absolute. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works. We compile these bullets of passive aggressive acts. We procrastinate, we sabotage, we do the backhanded compliments, we support when we feel like supporting. We don't exhibit behavior that you're completely on board with whatever the plan is. But instead of vocalizing your frustration, vocalizing your discontent. That's not what we do. We choose this route, the passive aggressive route, the bitch ass route. Because ultimately that's what it is. You're afraid. And instead of being an adult and confronting the situation head on, you choose subtle means to not get the result that you want, and not get the job done, or not get the task done, or not get the goal completed or checked off. And there's some passive aggressive men, women. I'll extend this olive branch. There are some passive aggressive men that are out there, and there's more men out there than we're led to believe, because a lot of men are over masculine or overhyped about, being the man, being a man. So they don't necessarily admit to the passive aggressiveness, but it's there. Fellas, we see you. We know that you're out there. And ultimately, at Grown Man Logic, we're about both sexes, both genders, male and female, being the best version of themselves. That's really what it's all about. So if we're gonna hold the foot to the fire and we're gonna complain that women are the masters of passive aggression, fellas, we are a very, very, very close second. It's crazy, because when you see these things, this passive aggressive behavior, you really can't call it out like you should, because there's nothing quantifiable. It's all sneaky. It's all underhanded. It's all put together and packaged and presented in a way where if you call this person out, you seem like a bully. You're wrong. You're picking on this person. You can't do that. And it's crazy. Like, this is one of the biggest manipulation tools known to man. And when you call someone out for being passive aggressive, they immediately have a defense. They go into the martyr or the victim mentality in hopes of gaining more attention and sympathy to get their way. And this is a major killer of relationships, because after a while, you get tired, you get fed up. The person's never coming through for you. You're trying to figure out why. The person, your person is constantly dropping the ball, or you begin to put things together in a pattern to the point that it comes, the puzzle puts itself together. This person is intentionally sabotaging these goals. And now it's up to me, or it's up to you, to figure out the best way to approach this person without coming across like a bully, without coming across like a controlling person, without coming across as crazy. I would argue that being passive aggressive is a form of gaslighting. It's a form of gaslighting. I would argue that. It's not written anywhere, or I haven't seen it written anywhere, but that would be my argument, because you're manipulating people to think that you're on board with what they're doing, and you're not. You're not happy. You're frustrated about it. You can't get your way, but that person, for whatever reason, is in a position to make the call. You don't agree with the call. And as a result of that, you go into these sneaky tactics. You see it. Parents do this with children, right? When a parent doesn't want to, deal with putting the child to bed, so they'll start to play with the child until the child is all riled up, and the other parent knows that the child needs to go to bed, so they kind of take over. They do the nighttime routine and eventually put the child to bed, right? Because the other parent didn't want to deal with it, so they passively aggressively begin to play with the child. And then when you call them out on, hey, you know this kid needs to go to bed at 8 o'clock. What are you doing? What, I can't play with my kid? I can't play with my own child? Is that what you're telling me? Right? It's oftentimes that when you want to blow up, when you explode, when you want to explode, and you feel like you can't take it anymore, that you want to do it, but you can't, because you come across as crazy. So what do? You start to do some passive aggressive tactics of your own. Now we're in a petty contest. We're in a petty pissing contest. We're in a situation where you're going tick for tack with passive aggressive acts. And my question to you would be, how long do you expect that to be? How long can you keep that up? How long does that last before somebody's like, all right, I got to get the hell out of here? It's oftentimes when you feel like you can't take it anymore. You've been gaslit to thinking that it's you, because the acts on the surface level seem genuine. They seem like it's the right thing to do, but knowing your partner, knowing your person, knowing the person that you're being gaslit by, knowing the person that is constantly perpetrating these passive aggressive acts, you know it's some bullshit. You know it. But it's anecdotal. And on the surface level, that person seems like they're legit out for the greater good. Some classic behaviors to look out for. There's indirect refusal. You suggest something, it's the right course of action, and the person says back to you, well, what if we did it this way? I don't feel comfortable doing that. Indirect refusal. Ghosting. Self-explanatory. Constantly and consistently being late. The silent treatment. Let me pause right there for a second. The silent treatment, because you don't want to blow up, is not fair to your partner. And that's on either side, male or female. That's on either side. Why? Because you're leaving that person to wonder what you're thinking. And instead of being an effective communicator, putting your big boy or big girl pants on, you're just going to sit there and be quiet. I'm asking you, hey, what's wrong? Is anything wrong? Can we fix it? No, nothing. If you don't know, then I don't want to talk about it. It's passive aggressive. It's aggressive because I know that you're pissed. But it's passive because you're choosing not to express yourself. What does that do? Creates doubt. Is this person not opening up to me? Who are they venting to? Are they being healthy? Are they being safe? Are they in a good headspace? These are the questions. Excuses. There's a fine line between excuses and reasons. Reasons are valid. Excuses are things that could have been prevented. And that's the difference. Patronizing. Sarcasm. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm guilty of this myself. I've been guilty of using like sarcasm as a passive aggressive form to get my point across. I have. And it was like when I realized it that, you begin to try and make the change and become less and less sarcastic and learn to express what you're thinking and how you're feeling in a more effective manner. Because that is what's going to ultimately get you to the greater good. Sarcasm is just going to further piss off the person, which that may be your goal. In which case, you may want to consider another option, another partner, some therapy or something. I talked about backhanded compliments earlier. Unsolicited advice or opinions. And when I say this, I'm not talking about constructive criticism. Okay. If I come to you, hey man, check me out, check out this episode, check out this video, check out, this sticker, this layout, this design, and you know, maybe if you do this, and this, and don't confuse that with unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice comes with, hey, look, my platform is doing numbers right now, and this, that, and the third, and you come to me and you're like, hey, if I was you, I would do this, I would do this, and I didn't ask you that. Or, you win some money or something, and if I was you, I would do this, and I would do this. Or you're doing well in your career. If I were you, I would do it. I didn't ask you that. There's a time and a place when we can converse and dialogue about this, but this isn't the time, and it's certainly not the place, because I'm growing, and I'm not where I want to be to make the move yet. So why are you advising me to do so? You have to question and consider your source of information and advice at all times, because everybody that you speak to does not necessarily have your best interest at heart. And that's one of those harsh realities, but a necessary one to learn, because the person that's giving you the unsolicited advice, why are you clocking me? Why are you paying so close attention to what I'm doing? Don't you have a purpose to be on your own? But it's passive aggressive. They want your spot, Flash. Contemptuous comments. Negative body language. These are all classic signs of passive aggressive behavior. And now that I think about it, I'm willing to bet that out of that list I just read, we've all either done or do some of these things, and we don't even realize it. Sometimes it's natural. It's our natural instinct to display our displeasure with things. But if that's the case, then we need to start having the conversations, because we're not moving the needle. We're not helping anybody by holding on to our thoughts, and the problem is not going to go anywhere until it's resolved. It's not going to go anywhere. There's no proverb that says if there was a town square and you could go throw your problems into that town square, you would go do it. But when you got back home, you'd have another set. In other words, problems are meant to be resolved. And between adults, it's done through dialogue. It's done through dialogue and through action. What do you need to see from me? Why are you upset about this? Can you talk to me about it? What are we doing? Why does this upset you so? Negative body language, folding your arms, rolling your eyes, rolling your neck, crossing your legs. A lot of the times, we're judged based off of what we don't say, the nonverbal cues. That's what gives us away when it comes to this thing. But consider what passive aggressiveness says to your partner in all actuality. It says that I don't trust you enough to come to you directly, to handle my emotions properly. And that's why passive aggressiveness is a killer of relationships. Talk to me. What do you think? Email me. Talk to gml@gmail.com. Talk to gml@gmail.com. Or text the line 617-752-8150. 617-752-8150. And yeah, let us know what you think, man. Are we on? Are we on cue? Are we on point? Did we miss anything? Is there something else that we didn't think of that we perhaps should have included? Please make sure to subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know that anytime we upload a video, let us know that you've done so. Comment your thoughts below. Email us or text us. Let's debate it. Let's talk about it. Critical thinking. This has been another episode of the VSOP Lounge. We'll see you guys in a couple days. Cheers.
Did you enjoy what you just watched? Be sure to give Grown Man Logic a listen on all streaming services and follow us on all forms of social media. We'll see you next time.